Well, so it's that time of year again. Time where everything ends. Endings are good though. Endings allow us time to reflect. And this year has brought a lot of new things for me. So I thought it might be interesting to sit down and go back over a lot of this.
We'll all fall down as we cross that line. All that you do is now gone. No one you know believe that God. Everyone's drowning in fear. You just wanna tell them that you're still here. We're reaching the end of our time. Reaching the end of the sunshine. Right on the gate of the bright. We'll all fall down as we cross that line. All that you know is now gone. No one you know believes that God. Everyone's drowning in fear. You just wanna tell them that you're there.
You see, in old 2023, a lot has changed for me. I did take the big plunge. No, not 8x10. I'm not ready for that yet. No, instead, I became an on-the-ground reporter in Ukraine. A photojournalist. I joined the big leagues, as it was. But this video is already going to be long enough as it is, so let's stop rambling. A few things to note before we do get started. I will be listing out all of the names of the cameras, films, and lenses that I will use throughout this video. Ain't no way I'm saying Konica Genbu Kentoku 40 times. California, my home state. It was important to me that before I headed off for my coverage of Ukraine, I see my home, where I come from. Even though I've not spent a huge amount of my life there, there is a certain sense of nostalgia that comes from California. Not only would going there allow me the opportunity to do this, it also allowed me to sharpen my skills and shoot and produce 4 different videos that are all out now. All of that, of course, started the night I landed in San Diego. Midnight at El Gordo's. This is one of those shots that you just know will be a banger when you take it. Shot at 1/15th of a second, I was incredibly lucky that everyone seemed to just hold still for a minute. The glow of the Rito Amber 800 perfectly stays away from that halation red just enough, while still not fully turning the people into silhouettes. This one is definitely one of my favorites from the year, and probably one of my all-time favorites for street photography.
Just wanna spend some time together before everything's gone. It's in the air, can't you feel that good times are coming on? California, here I come. Every heartbeat just like a drum. I hear your rhythm, you feel so near. Oh, California, all senses clear. I'll be alright. We should have lived a life together in your warming sun.
You can see even more of these photos from San Diego because they are all part of my grand San Diego on film and a digicam. video, and you can find it linked right here. However, at the very end of the trip, I found myself facing a beautiful sunset and, well, no film to shoot it. What could I do but turn to my old, trusty Canon R7?
California, all this time. Now I'm at the end of the line. Just another hill to climb. California, then you'll be mine.
February, I was in editing hell. If you followed my channel for a while, you'll know that I am definitely not a quick editor. Mixed with learning a few different systems as I go, and my corporate work, I was a busy boy. Speaking of my corpo work, I did do a couple photo shoots with my former long-term client, Templeton Distillery. Here's a few of those. Of course, in March, I packed up and flew across the world to Poland. I had never properly been in Warsaw before, and I wanted to take a few extra days to see the city. See a city that had faced war and genocide before. Know that a place can see those things and be normal once again. Especially with the nature of my work, it seemed appropriate, even if I didn't know the reason when I decided to stay those extra days. I splurged a little bit and got an apartment with a view as well. Metro Girl. I really liked this scene when I shot it, and I think the black and white was the perfect choice to go with. From my first time in Warsaw, I would say this is probably the winner. But I did take a lot of great photos while I was there. Enough so that, you guessed it, made an entire video about it. However, walking a square I've always wanted to photograph, and even meeting a knight, all of these things must come to an end. I quickly hopped on a bus and made my way into Ukraine. My first stop? Lviv. Lviv is an old city, a beautiful city, and it feels like a place that, in a more sane world, would be on lists of European hidden gems. I've been lucky enough and honored enough to be able to document this place during this time. If you want to see a little bit of my time there, My Lviv video is out now. I promise this is not just an ad for my other videos. In a city that would make the lists of European hidden gems, I brought this guy, the Konica Gembukentoku. And this little guy is one of film photography's best kept secrets. A powerful, near indestructible point and shoot with great image quality. Even in that first week of being in Ukraine, I was lucky enough to meet a couple truly amazing people, including my friend Andrei, a historian and guide through the westernmost part of Ukraine. You can see the video we made together about the Carpathian Mountains here, although, admittedly, it isn't my best work.
This is the main square of Armenian neighborhood. Today it's one of the favorite places of students and young people and creative people and for people who just want some quiet place. But also sometimes it's hard to stay quiet here because there are many people who are taking photo shoots here.
Yes.
It's a very beautiful place and favorite place for photo shoots.
Another of those friends I made in Kyiv, Elena, a former journalist and a guide here in Kyiv. Her interview with me is currently in production. Any last thoughts you have? Anything you want to say to whoever may see this?
Don't be scared to come to here. Life goes on.
Yes.
I think even more than during the peaceful times.
Bright flashing by the street lights. Keep waiting till you've arrived. Let it unfold. Let it unfold. Give me reason to feel right. I keep waiting for the morning light. I let him fall. Let him fall. You need to give me something I can't hold on to. I sleep through the night after all. Debating how you live your life. Bright flashes of white light.
Just like in San Diego, I did bring my little Kodak Easy Share Digicam with me. It's an incredible little camera, and being able to have something so small and easily pocketable on me at all times was quite the thing. Plus, it has a bunch of old Kodak film emulations in it. Eat your heart out, Fuji. One of the coolest places I found in Kyiv was around the old Olympic Stadium. Street photographers, I'm telling you, this is what you want. This is what we live for. Space like this is so special and versatile.
Keep dancing the whole way. Keep dancing the whole way. It's easy to let go. Change your track when it feels slow. Just lose control. Just lose control. Bright flashing by the street
Yeah, so you were asking about my experiences with the air sirens, and the time I got more anxious about it was after the car of our friend was hit with the rocket on the beginning of October. So his brother, he immediately died, and our friend was taken to intensive care. We were collecting money for his treatment, and lots of people donated, like just in 3 days. But yeah, after that you feel kind of like the war is closer to you than you think. Because before we were more like, carefree about all those air sirens and stuff like this. After that it was like quite a lot of worries for a while. Yeah.
Do you think you'll be able to ever kind of go back to that same relaxed point, even after the war? Or do you think it's always going to be there?
I don't know. But I think for like some period, maybe for a long period, everybody will be just feeling the results of it, like the results of those experiences you went through. Because I don't know, sometimes it's getting like really funny. On one side, I remember it was air siren, and I'm sitting in the corridor, and my boyfriend doesn't care, so he sits in the room. And that was the drone attack at that moment. And he just made some coffee, and then at some point I hear the sound. And I'm just screaming like, Sasha, get in the corridor, the drones are flying. And he's just getting out like, is the coffee being made? And I was like, you just get so, so sensitive to all the sounds, the loud sounds of cars, stuff like this.
A lot happened in this town, but it is a more poor region of the country, and so it does not quite get the same spotlight it probably should. Here in Irpirn, we find ourselves inside of an apartment building that was destroyed by the Russians. Tank rounds fired into it, bombing runs hitting the roof, and the scars of white phosphorus all around us. It's quite surreal to stand in places like this. I was lucky enough to come across and meet a local man named Anton. He guided us through this neighboring building and gave us a short interview about what he had experienced and what he had seen.
Первый авиаудар был здесь, где вы видите яму. Это был первый авиаудар. Били по местному населению и дальше били по военной части, потому что там военный госпиталь. Рядышком находится военная часть. Военный госпиталь у вас прямо, чуть выше. Военная часть и Гостомель получается вот рядышком. Поэтому эти районы самые больше пострадали. Вот вы видите гаражи. Видите выпаленную улицу Кирова. Стрит Кирова. Почему ее выпалили? Потому что с Бучи. Буча там, где вот вы видите озеро, там Буча. Там Буча и с Бучи били. Били с Бучи. Почему били с Бучи? Потому что Вышгород, где Ивановское направление, они подорвали мост, и они подошли с Бучи, пошли. Картина на ладони.
My video on these liberated areas is in the late stage of editing now and hopefully should be out pretty soon. Liberated Home. I didn't like the shot when I first took it. Now it's going to be the thumbnail of my aforementioned project on these liberated areas. What is there to even say about Bucha? I've been there a couple of times, and what sticks in my mind are still those golden domes. This is the church grounds that were used for the mass grave here in Bucha. The Russians, in their own words, conducted a cleansing operation here, a systematic way of murdering military-aged civilian men and looting homes. Bucha and Irpirn are considered more of an affluent area in this part of the country, and even in multiple intercepted telecommunication conversations, we can see that this really pissed off the Russians. But something I don't see mentioned that often is that people actually fled Kyiv for Bucha and Irpirn. They believed these suburbs would be safer, as the Russians would just roll past and get into Kyiv, leave them alone, essentially. And they were wrong. However, despite the darkness, there are people who are willing to fight it.
So who are you and why are you here? I know, but...
My name's Paul Littick, and we're here in name of our non-profit organization, Trees of Hope, to basically bring hope back to Ukraine. Hope in the sense of that they're not alone and that trees carry us in a positive way on into the future.
And what are we doing here? Where are we?
Well, we're actually now at one of the first places where one of the first victims fell of the invasion in Bucha, and it's right behind me in this beautiful little park. And as in commemoration, really, we're planting 20 lime trees. Antilia is the Latin name for a lime tree. It's the tree of friendship in a way, and it is a very old tradition of planting this type of tree in an urban setting. They used to be planted in marketplaces, and underneath the tilia people would congregate and come together, and even in certain situations there would be judgments would be passed, and it's a very old European tradition of a tree.
Very nice on there. And what inspired you to come out and start this charity and do this with your time?
The devastation originally, of course there's the human suffering, which is of course that hits you like a ton of bricks, but for me, from my business, it was also the ecological damage, and it was something that struck me right away in terms of what I've seen today on our tour in the big park here in Bucha. There were quite a few trees damaged, and when you see it up live, it's very raw, and you know it's very permanent, because a tree, you cannot just sort of damage a tree a little bit. It immediately punctures its vacuum system, which allows in all sorts of pathogens and problems in the long term. So basically, whatever has been damaged here is, as time goes on, will be in so many years' time, these trees will not survive this. So, as a gesture of trying to keep a different message alive, but one of positivity, I thought it was important to come out and do what I could, and what we could together as Trees of Hope, is that we could bring in some literal hope and bring in some positive energy in the form of, the only thing I know is trees, and that was for me, it was an urgency, and also there's like a must involved. There you go. I would like people to understand that life is going on in an incredible force here in Ukraine, that we've seen so much positivity of the people living their lives and getting back to more than normal at a speed of light. We've seen streets being restored in a year's time, which were battlefields a year ago, and there's this huge force which I found very attractive as well, I resonate with that tremendously in terms of, and it's a word I enjoy very much in Ukrainian, it's pishli, it means let's get on.